Chicken here. Bringing you episode 3 in the Troop Loadout series. And if you saw the sneak peek, you already know. Spoilers, we're going to be doing Scorchers and Tanks today. So before I get into the attacks and stuff, I just wanted to go over some very basic things for Scorcher and Tank. So if you have 8 landing crafts, you always want to go 3 Scorchers and 5 boats of tanks. The reason is 1 Scorcher isn't going to last long enough. 2 Scorchers still aren't going to last long enough unless they're boosted. You could do a 2 Scorcher, 6 tank run, because if you're boosted and you have a lot of damage, you can blast through the base a lot quicker. But in general, your 3 Scorchers is the sweet spot. 4 is... you're using too much GBE on the Scorchers at that point to, and you don't get as much damage with only 4 boats of tanks. So 3 Scorchers, 5 boats of tanks is the tried and true method for that. If you're under level 18 or whatever it is, and you only have or level 18, HQ 18, and you only have 7 landing crafts, then you still want to go with 3 Scorchers and then 4 boats of tanks, I guess. So I'm just gonna let these run and kind of go over the basics here. So before you attack, scout the enemy base. First thing to look for is boom cannons and ice statues. Placement of boom cannons is key. The ones at the very front can be shocked. The ones in the middle and in the way of the pack of the Scorchers and tanks have to be destroyed by by GBE. The ones in the back can be kept for later. Artillery and barrage them as you build up GBE as you go down the base. What I like to do, I didn't do it in this raid, but I like to take out the back boom cannons first, or the ones that I know my guys aren't going to run into on their way to the headquarters. But yeah, typically I would take out the back boom cannons, and then I'll shock the front boom cannons that are going to be in range. I kind of like to let them run a bit. I should have flared them here. They didn't need to go all the way to the outside. But I don't like flaring them a lot like I would with a non-smoky heavy Anzuka, because they just take too long to, once you flare them, they take too long to get in position, they take too much damage, especially if there's shock launchers going. I wouldn't bother. If there's shock launchers and cannons in range, I would not flare the Scorchers and tanks. But anyways, you want to look for a nice easy place to start, anywhere where there's, didn't put on the Z-mod out there. Anywhere basically where there's sorry, I'm just trying to focus here. Anywhere where there's GBE, you can build up as you go. It's going to be where you want to start, rather than just throwing them down, because most people don't have as much GBE as I do, and I realize that. So if you can find a good place to start off the beginning of the raid, and you can kind of just pick off some sniper towers or whatever, resource building, stuff like that, and build up your GBE, and then you can use that to fire on the boom cannons at the back, and you can kind of place your raid from there. Like you'll see, I take out the boom cannon on the far left. I probably didn't need to do that. I probably would have been okay to take out these 3 around the HQ, because I don't think this guy had any ice. Or he had a couple. But I probably would have been better off to take off the boom cannons near the HQ and then just keep them towards the right. But anyways, yeah. So that covers the GBE. Never flare specific buildings while you're approaching, unless they are boom cannons. Always flare to a spot from which your tanks can easily start destroying stuff as soon as they get there. So that just goes in with what I said before. They're very slow to flare. Flaring to a target-rich area is a good idea, unless those are unshocked cannons, like we just went over. When you're halfway in, go for the underbelly if you can. And if not, start considering a spot near the HQ where your tanks will be able to sit out of range from everything. Which is usually how these raids end. is you usually do lose the Scorchers if it's a reasonably like high level base with a bit of ice. It usually goes that you lose your Scorchers, but then you've carved out a pocket for your tanks, kind of like I have here, like where there's the rocket launcher shooting at them, but and the shock launcher, but I mean not much else. So everything kind of went down, and then we've got some free range tanks just blasting away at the HQ. You can save your Scorchers with smoke. They won't fly around if you smoke them, if you're worried about saving them or whatever. And yeah, those are just some basic tips that have definitely helped me with learning the troop combination. It's definitely not the most efficient, I would say. You're gonna be better off. Like RZM is still the way to go for sure. But Scorching tanks are fun to use. They're not the best for heavy, high-level ice bases, but it's definitely something everyone needs to have in their arsenal. As far as statues, most people are gonna tell you for Scorchers and tanks that that you want like an extra troop health guardian, and I don't think that's necessarily true. This is the operation attack that I'm gonna do in a minute here. You're gonna be better off with more GB for Scorchers and tanks, just because the more boom cannons and cannons you can take out, the better your rate's gonna go. And like Troop Health Guardian is nice, but it's not gonna save you. It's not gonna give you a whole extra boom cannon shot unless you're like completely unless you're fully boosted or something like that. I'll show you a funny tank attack I had yesterday. But yeah. So GB is definitely going to be big. GB damage is going to help a lot. So the tanks, obviously, I said yesterday that it's kind of like a heavy Zuka. Like a powerful version of Heavy Zuka, even though they don't, like the AI is way different and the pathing is way different, obviously, but it's just similar in the fact that the Scorchers take the hits while the heavies do the damage. You want to get the tanks leveled up as much as possible. Scorchers, you can get away with them. I think once you're at level 6, you're okay. You don't need to max them right away. But for tanks, the difference between their level 1 damage is per shot, so not per second, is 490 versus level 17, which is 1,946, so almost 2,000. So that's like a 1,500 damage per shot difference, which is absolutely massive. So you want to upgrade your tanks before your Scorchers for sure. Especially because at lower levels you can use tanks and medics too, which is a really good strategy, I should say, for the mid-level gameplay. Not so much higher level for heavy ice bases, but you can still use it for sure. And for Scorchers, their hit points, which is what you want to like what your main concern with the Scorcher is. Level 1, it's going to be 25,000. Level 9, 43,000. But level 6 is where you're going to hit 35,000, and that's kind of the sweet spot for the Scorcher. Another thing I should mention about the Scorchers is when they explode, they actually do they have a damage radius. And I think in the Dr. Terror attack I did yesterday, we can kind of see that. So when they blow up, they have a higher damage on death, even to your own troops, and to obviously any buildings, defensive buildings, whatever it is that they're touching, and that's going to scale with their level. So a level 1 Scorcher, when it blows up, it's going to have 3,500 damage on death, and a level 9 Scorcher is going to have 7,500 damage on death. So you'll actually see some operations where the Scorcher is right next to the core and it explodes, and it'll actually win the operation for you, which is pretty crazy. So, but you want to be careful about it, because if a Scorcher is about to die and it's in the middle of all your tanks, since the tanks only have about, well, I can see here exactly, a max tank health is 6,650, so a max Scorcher will kill all your tanks if it explodes in the radius of them. So we didn't really see it there, but but if that Scorcher was in the middle of the tanks, it would blow all of them up. And I've actually lost raids before where I've had the Scorcher in the pack of tanks and it explodes and kills all of them, and I had no idea what happened at first until I actually looked it up and realized, I was like, wow, that was crazy. So yeah, you don't want that to happen. So anyways, we're gonna go in on Fluke, and I'm gonna go in on the left side, and I'm going to take out these 2 boom cannons. I am gonna fully boost just because I need the GVE for this, and I'm gonna come down in this area. I'm going to take out the shock blaster and those 2 shock launchers, and then I'm probably going to reflare back up. But, yeah, I think I'm going to throw critters out right around here, just so I can, nothing, I guess the sniper tower is going to be plucking away, but I'm going to try to save smokes by doing that, so the shock launchers hit the critters instead of my guys. So we'll see how this goes. Boosting up. Boosting up. So, definitely let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the Scorchers and tanks, and how you guys go about using them. This definitely isn't like the end-all of Scorcher tank guides or anything. Definitely like to hear your guys' thoughts or whatever on how you go about using them for sure. Alrighty, so we're boosted up. I'm going in on Fluker. So I am going to have to waste some critters right here on these boom cannons, because I don't want those touching the tanks. They're not that bad for the Scorchers, but definitely get rid of them if I can. Okay, so I'm going to try to get these out of the way first. I think I need about 80-ish GB to drop my Scorchers and tanks. I probably should have checked that first, but you know how operations go with the hashtag chicken. Okay, so I like to put my my tanks down first, and oh, didn't flare. Okay, so that's not what I wanted. We're gonna be okay though. That rocket's not gonna be the end of the world. The cannon will be though. So I should have thrown. I was late throwing the critters out. I wanted those shock launchers. I wanted those shock launchers getting distracted. Well, that's okay for right now. I'm not too worried about the cannon shooting the Scorcher. You can see it doesn't do really that much damage. I definitely don't like the shock blaster because that's going to keep them in place. That's not what we want. But yeah, you'll see this is already like basically over. There's not much else I need to worry about here. I don't know if I can get both those in one. Yeah, okay. So I do need to take out that shock blaster, and then I'm gonna blast through the shock launcher first. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna shock that, and then we're basically golden. So you'll see I didn't even, when they're boosted, they're like crazy powerful. Like I'm not even gonna lose a single troop here. Like, look at the health on the Scorchers, it barely even went down. I know there wasn't a lot in range or like shooting at them, but so this is something you'd also have to be careful of when you're reflaring them. Like I was just talking about that the damage on shot, or sorry, the damage on explosion. You'll see that one was getting pretty low health because it was just sitting in all those flamethrowers. And the flamethrower damage will, oops, I could have saved him easily. But the flamethrower damage will continue as they get out of it. So like if I was flaring back and that Scorcher was still on fire, I actually could have lost that raid if it exploded amongst my tanks. And well, not when they had boosted health, but in a normal raid, that definitely could have happened where I flare them back and then they explode and take out all my tanks. But yeah, that's going to be it for episode 3, guys. Let me know what you thought of it. Leave a like if this helped you out in any way. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to see the rest of the Troop Loadout series. We're going to be going over anything and everything. at some point. We're gonna cover it all. So let me know what you want to see in the next episode, and that's gonna be it for today, guys. Chicken out.